I was on the northeastern slopes of Mount Rainier, just taking a breather and just looking off into the distance. And there were just blue skies for days in every direction. It was a beautiful day, just a huge tapestry of dark royal blueness. And that's when I first saw it. There was like a large tear in the tapestry, or so it seemed, some kind of a big interruption. Whatever was sitting there, it had impudence. Kind of like it was saying, excuse me, this is my domain, this is my stage, look at me. And once I'd spotted it, I looked some more, and this thing was another mountain. Obviously huge. It was white, it was kind of jig-jaggedy and kind of not. And I thought, was it Mount Baker, 100 miles away? I mean, that was the obvious candidate, but I wasn't sure. And whatever it was impressive, and I knew that I needed to go see it. I was coming down from Sahali Glacier Camp a few days later. I did something that seemed like a good idea at the time. I rode my mountain bike from the upper trailhead down to the climber's lot with all my backpacking and camera gear on my back, and let's just say it didn't go well. It was a yard sale. So I needed a few days to recover, to nurse my wounds, so this seemed like the perfect opportunity to drive north to Artist Point and see this Mount Baker that I'd seen from Rainier. I'd heard you could drive all the way to Artist Point and get front row seats, which was perfect. No mule train required, and the fridge in the Silver Sasquatch was stocked with good food. So I have to admit, I was full of anticipation. Then I arrived, and there was smoke. Thick forest fire smoke. It was apocalyptic, it was hazy. Everything at Artist Point smelled like standing inside a campfire, and I looked around warily. I was disappointed. I was kind of confused, actually. The lesser peaks of the North Cascades that I was anticipating seeing, they were just simply gone. But there was one mountain looming above the parking lot, a specter. It was muted and it was ghostly through the haze, but I mean, it was definitely there. It was impressive and it was haunting. Maybe like King Kong appearing through the clouds, but just much less hairy. Or I thought maybe it looked like the kind of mountain that should come with its own creepy Phantom of the Opera music and a scream. So I sat in the van for a couple hours and just watched the scene. Every so often, someone with a nice car would drive up to the edge of the parking lot and position their car just beneath the mountain and then take those hero photos. Then 3 cops showed up on motorcycles. Apparently they had come for the photo as well. They parked their motorcycles, they stood proudly beside their trusty mounts and took pictures of the giant mountain behind them. Then there was a wedding party. So, okay, clearly this was the spot. And to be fair, even with the smoke, it was pretty spectacular. The smoke warped the colors in ways most people probably never get to see. It wasn't what I'd come for, but it made for some fun photographs. So eventually there was a break in the action, and when I thought no one was looking, I sheepishly pulled the Silver Sasquatch into position, and then I took the hero shot, and then I quickly drove away, hoping I hadn't been seen falling for the hype. But I really liked this mountain. It was a beauty. Then someone told me something that just blew my mind. This wasn't even Mount Baker. Wait, what? Apparently Mount Baker was on the other side of the parking lot. And so I walked over there and just stared to be sure, and I couldn't even see it through the smoke. There was nothing. So the visible monstrosity that I've been watching from the van was Mount Shuksan. All my life I'd heard people talk about Mount Baker, but I'd never heard of Shuksan, and yet there it was, towering over Artist Point, looking like it owned the place. The two mountains are next-door neighbors and geological opposites. Baker, or Kolmakolshan, is an enormous volcanic cone, relatively young, smooth, and still alive, while Shuksand is something completely different. Ancient rocks smashed together, uplifted, and carved apart by ice. One was built by fire, the other was shaped by collision and ice. Even the smoke had a strange historical connection as well. When Edmund Coleman and his team made the first recorded ascent of Baker in 1868, wildfire smoke obscured much of the landscape below them. Coleman wrote that a dense pall of smoke veiled the surrounding scenery and described a reddish cloud beneath them. So more than 150 years later, I had apparently arrived for the reenactment. And eventually I realized something else. The mystery mountain I'd seen from Rainier, the one that started this whole thing, wasn't Baker either. It was Shuksand. I came to Artist Point looking for Baker. I was excited about Baker. I'd driven north to see Baker. And when I got there, Baker had completely disappeared. At first, it felt like a disappointment, but sometimes anticipation, it points you towards the experience, but it doesn't get to decide what the actual experience will be. Baker, it was hiding in the smoke. And because it was, I discovered Shuksand. I went looking for one thing and discovered something better that I didn't even know existed. Nice. So next, I head into the Canadian Rockies. Pack's on. Let's see what's still out there.